Okay, so it was a rainy Friday evening, and I thought I'd just turn on my mic and see what comes out, see what I can crank out. So, the one thing on my mind is antinatalism, and there are people that would say I'm obsessing over this topic, but to that, I have to say I don't think I obsess enough. You know how much reading I have to do when it comes to antinatalism? Um, there's the philosophy, there's specific examples of it, there's lots of YouTubers out there, so I could spend the next year just going over material, but usually I'm distracted by the news, CNN, the New York Times. I'm one of those guys, I guess. In fact, I'm just so distracted all the time. I don't really focus on anything really. But antinatalism is one of those things, especially when it comes to these videos. I've been really doubling down on antinatalism and what it means to me, and what I've noticed in other people when they think about antinatalism. So, the first thing I want to bring up is basically something that I've brought up before in previous videos about people who say antinatalists hate kids. So just to start off, you can't control what everybody does. So I can't, and this is stating the obvious, but I can't control what every antinatalist does. I can't tell them what to do, what to think, and what they're going to post on Facebook, and what they think is the correct course of action due to their belief in antinatalism. So if people think antinatalists hate kids, what you have to look to is not so much the noise around the topic, not social media posts. You have to look at what is the serious thinking behind the philosophy. So you kind of have to go to the experts, right? So you would go to someone like Benatar. There are other writers that I just can't remember right now, but you would go to the serious thinkers, the philosophers on the topic, and that's where you would get your idea about what antinatalism is. And none of the serious thinkers think that antinatalists should hate children. That's just not part of antinatalist philosophy. It's very much removed from antinatalist philosophy if you look at the serious thinking. Um, Most antinatalists are philanthropic antinatalists, which means that they're concerned with people suffering as opposed to people being the instigators of evil and bad deeds and things like that. They're more concerned with the harm of coming into existence and what that does to a person. And children, just like adults, they're people, and they would be experiencing the same amount of life, the same amount of existence as anybody else. So they would be experiencing the same amount of harm. To varying degrees based on your specific conditions, your specific circumstances. But antinatalism itself does not say that anybody should hate children. There's no reason for it. If you go on Facebook, you'll see lots of posts, or at least I used to see. There was an antinatalist site that I signed up to, a group on Facebook I used to be a part of. They used to post a lot of like anti-kid memes, so a lot of like. Even then, I don't know that you would call it anti-kid. It was mostly just kind of like memes about kids doing nasty things to their parents, like toddlers shitting on their dads' backs at the beach and things like that. Even then, I don't know that that's hating children, but it's pretty close to having this kind of disgust with children, right? But yeah, I forget my point. But that has nothing to do with antinatalism. Antinatalism really talks about the morality of bringing people into existence, and whether you're a kid or an adult. I just said something like this just a second ago, but whether you're a kid or adult, you were born. When you become an adult, you don't, at some point in adulthood, you don't lose the fact that you were born. So antinatalism treats all birth equally, whether you're a kid or an adult. So hopefully that makes sense. There's no reason in antinatalism to hate children. I can't see one. But like I said, don't get me wrong, there are certain people, there are certain antinatalists that will have their specific views and their specific opinions, and you can't help that. The second thing about antinatalism that I want to bring up is the fact that a lot of people think antinatalists are mentally ill. That alone is still not true. There are many antinatalists. Some might have mental health issues, others may not. I have mental health issues, just full disclosure, but I don't I don't find that interferes with my thinking on antinatalism. Maybe it does in some really deep way that I'm unaware of, but I don't find that it interferes with my thinking on antinatalism. And again, I've read enough antinatalist material to know that the ideas are solid. The logic and the rationale behind and the rationality behind antinatalist thought is sound. It's very concrete. And to this day, I have not read a single person or seen a single YouTube video that takes down antinatalism on any level. Not a single one. The biggest hurdle that antinatalism faces is basically people just having an automatic turn off when they hear it. Like they hear, well, the end of the human species, and they just turn off. They don't care about what else it has to say. There may be in some cases people might be frightened or disgusted with it, but there's never been a well thought out response to antinatalism. So whether you have mental illness or not, the thinking behind antinatalism is very sound, very solid, and just that's where it is. And the third thing is basically antinatalism is genocide. Well, it's not genocide because, number one, antinatalism is kind of predicated on consent. So you have to get consent from people, because antinatalists go on about having consent at birth, right? Which is something you can't attain, thus antinatalism. But, consent is very important and very central to antinatalism. And you're not going to kill anyone or wipe anyone out without first getting their consent. I hate to put it that way, but I mean, if consent is involved, you're not killing anyone. Like if someone agrees not to have children, then that's by consent. You're not forcing them to do anything. So antinatalism has to be by consent, and it just simply is not genocide. And you're not killing anyone. Like I said, you're not killing anyone. You're just preventing birth. And once you prevent birth, the consequence of that is basically the dwindling of the human race. I don't want to say wiping out, because that sounds violent, but basically the end of the human race. But it's if everybody has to agree that that's the best thing going forward. That's all I can think about for now. I think that's a pretty good substantial amount of time. It's about 7 minutes, so we'll end it there. Bye.